So up next, we will be witnessing a discussion of real-life approaches. Although the importance of content is known to all, businesses face the colossal challenge of building a content strategy that actually works. To help your business achieve the desired goals, our panelists were going to be listing real-life approaches that would empower you to overcome marketing challenges. I'd like to welcome up to the stage our session moderator, Rukia Iram. She is co-founder and CMO at Viper Tech Solutions. She's going to come up and take the lead. So panelists are Sandeep Bombal, if you'd like to come up and join us, please. Also Gunjan Tavedi, Heba Sari, and Gautam Madhavan. Sorry. It's very small, I can't read it, even with my glasses. If we could welcome up our panelists, please. Thank you so much.
Hello. Okay, I'm loud. Hey, oh wow, I did not know we have something blinking at us. All right, guys, so a long list of sessions today, so hopefully we'll try and keep this one very interactive and fun. Well, as you can see, content strategy, a real life, approach to marketers challenge, right? Just a brief introduction before we start. I'm Rukia Iram, and we have a startup called Vyapar. And one of the unique challenges at Vyapar when we were starting off in 2016 was we were marketing to an audience for whom internet is a very nascent field, right? To say internet is a nascent field is quite saying something, right? Because we're talking about the audience that has seen internet because of, all thanks to, Jio and more affordable Chinese phones entering the market. So this is the audience which you'd see in tier 2 and above cities, people who are still trying to understand what internet is, let alone going ahead and using it for the sake of their businesses, for the sake of information and all of that, right? All of this is quite new to these guys. So it's pretty much us right after the Nokia era that we all must have faced. And the most amazing challenge when we started off with this audience was the amount of internet searches that these guys had was about 10 searches for one keyword, right? For an entire month or sometimes for 2 months. So quite low. Now we knew that we had to reach out to this audience, but the concept of SEO is just not going to work because there was hardly any searches. We had to get a good and strong content strategy in place because it meant that we had to start creating content for this audience right from scratch. We had to start kind of leading the way into how this audience was going to approach content, how they were going to start searching for things, what is the topics that had to be looked up. And this required us to actually get into a kind of a deep dive into their Facebook content, their Facebook, which is mostly about, when you're starting off on Facebook, it's mostly about me, my family, my kids, my friends. That's what it is about. And from there to kind of then pick up what and how we can turn this content that they're generating and build a strategy around it so that they can then start searching for the right things on the internet, and then we start coming up. So content strategy has a very, very important part to play in all of this. This was our little experience. Now I'd like to maybe start off this panel, and hopefully, I wish I had these guys like 4 years ago, and all of the tips that they're going to be giving us today. Sorry. I'm going to just give off this to you. Yeah. Hello. So I'm going to start off with everyone, maybe just a very brief introduction to yourselves, what your companies do, and hopefully one sentence description of what content strategy means to you guys. Yeah?
Hi. Once again, good afternoon. Yes. Good afternoon. Okay. We run a company called Palasa Creative Place and a design firm called God. That's called Gang of Designers. So we all are part of designers because we design something for good, for people, for the world, and that's how we make the living better. So welcome to Gang of Designers, welcome to God. What we do, we have fun with communication.
interesting. So you're God's own creation. My name is Gunjan Trivedi. I work for a company called Quadigi. We are an integrated marketing firm which looks after content, search, social, and data. And when we look at content, it's not just the kind of stuff we have been speaking about for quite some time, but actually through and through from visual, verbal, contextual, whichever way you look at it. So we try and help solve business problems out there, and we work on an approach which is more on the lines of finish to start. We actually understand what the clients want, and then we try and give them the solutions and not try and say, okay, we are a digital marketing firm and we'll give you this solution. So that's the typical approach. I'm preaching to the choir, most of you must be doing the same, but we are a little insane about that. So that's what we are.
So hello again. This time I'm speaking. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Heba Sari. I'm a fashion designer. I'm also a copywriter and content strategist. And what I do is that creating content and strategies to keep my brands up and living and surviving all that content, the cluttered content, actually to stand out among content and to actually influence. Thank you. And about content, yeah, content is king.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'm Gautam. I'm the founder of a company called Mad Influence. We're a complete influencer marketing solution-based company. So as the name suggests, Mad Influence. So we work with the brands in terms of content strategy with influencers. So whatever we do for brands, we do it with the use of influencers. From the planning to the strategizing to the amplification is all routed through influencers. So that's what we do. And yeah, let's not take the time.
Thank you. So very first thing, right? So how do you guys approach content strategy? And this is something that any one of you can pick up right here. How do you approach content strategy? And is there a process that you follow? And does this process differ from audience to audience or brand to brand that you either deal with, right? So that's the first question.
Okay, sure. Of course, yani, there's no one way in doing things and doing content strategy. You have to first understand the brand, understand the core values of the brand, and understand the target audience as well. So basically, it's having both united and give it one understanding exactly what is it that I want from this content strategy, why I'm doing it, why I'm developing it, what do I want from it. Understanding both sides in terms of me as a brand, what do I want to tell my client, and what do I want them to behave, and what are they expecting from me. So if I manage to do that after research and understanding of the core brands, I worked in advertising agencies and I worked as a client. So now I got the full picture. It's totally different. When you are on the advertising side, it's only what we see is that we want to create beautiful artworks, beautiful copy, crafted copy, something to get us out there. We want awards, la 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 la. When you are on the client side, what you want is actually your KPIs are different. I want reach, I want to influence. So merging these together and understanding exactly what my client is looking for, while the customers are looking for, this is what gets you to do whatever you want with your content. And this is how you develop content, actually.
I think, as she rightly said, that content strategy differs for every brand, and especially for us, we understand what the brand wants, but we do what their consumer wants to listen. It's very important to understand because a brand wants everything, right? But it's very important to understand the emotions of a consumer before you do any kind of marketing. For example, we recently did a very small example was OLX. I don't know if you know it. It's like Souk.com, right? So it is very big in India, right? It is one of the biggest resellers in India, marketplace. And their target audience they work in two approaches. One is the buying approach and one is the selling approach. So buying approach on this platform has been working really well, right? But now the brand says that, hey, you know what? I need to talk about the selling approach. I need to promote my selling approach to my clients. I want the users to sell more rather than buy more, because the people are already selling their buying the products which is already listed on the platform. But I need people to sell more, right? So the whole idea was where rather than thinking from a buying perspective, we start thinking from a selling perspective. Why should a consumer go to this platform and sell it out? If the person has to sell it out, what is the turnaround point from buying a product to utilizing it and then to just dispose it off? So what are the channels, right? So these are the main, these are the emotions where it is very important to understand what is the key pain points that a end consumer feels rather than what the brand feels. That's where the strategy, the content strategy comes in place.
You want to take this? Should I take this? Perfect. So, there's a, it's a dichotomy. It's complex yet simple. The way we look at it, and I completely agree with what Heba and Gautam was mentioning. But I'll bring you to the point where what Meenu was saying in her keynote yesterday. Sometimes clients says what they want, but they don't really know what they want, right? As an expert who would have an understanding across various platforms, various everything, you are able to actually sift through and figure out what needs to be done. Which means that we just need to simply ask one question. As Heba was mentioning, business goals can be, I want the reach or virality or followers or whatever it is. We just need to ask why. Why do you want to do that? Now, if it's B2C, there has to be ultimately getting to a goal, right? It's not going to end at virality or followership. It needs to translate into something. For B2B, similar. It needs to translate into revenue, right? Directly, business, opportunities, whichever way it is. So the first step is always be asking, spending time, obviously, understanding the brand, blah, 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 but we need to be asking why. Why do you want to do this? How it's going to be changing your life? What's going to happen? And then you start to reflect back in. The second most important aspect is we understand the brand, we understand perhaps the art of communication, etc. But what we fail to sometimes understand is the makeup of that audience. What is going to work with that audience, right? Now, for me to help you understand this one, and bear with me on this. We look at the anatomy of it. Communication is very simple. It's fundamental. How we should be looking at it from the perspective of how it's going to be consumed, right? Not what am I supposed to say, how it is going to be reflected upon. It works in three fashion, and it's all getting processed out up here, right? Correct? Whatever you say, whatever you see, and whatever you hear. Now the fact is that in B2C scenarios and B2B scenarios, thin line, and people try and miss the boat over there. The fact is that we all work, in humans, we work with three parts of brains, not just two, as any other mammals, right? We work with gut, we work with heart, we work with head. We work with paleocortex, which is the reptilian brain, which is absolute base, which is going to look at, can I eat this? Should I fight this? Or can I procreate with this? Absolute basis of emotions, right? Survival instincts. Most of the ads work on those concepts. How am I going to get that attraction? That attraction works here. The heart is a limbic system, which means the emotions start to come in and start to value the judgment. They bring in the judgment of, okay, what is this all about? How do I go about it? So most of the communication, which is actually, for example, climate change and everything, they hit you on those lines. They try and say, hey, you don't do this, your future is going to die out, right? This is the extent of damage you're going to do. It hits your limbic system. right? And when it comes to the B2B side, it starts to involve your neocortex, which is your head, where you're processing numbers, you're processing language, right? All of that starts to happen. Now, if as communicators, as content guys, as marketeers, whatever we call ourselves, if we understand this basic concept of what are we going to hit, is it, if I'm going to sell a car, am I going to go zip as we were discussing yesterday? Should it be red? Should it be that? I mean, I'm just trying to oversimplify the problem, but I need to understand the visual aspect. You know, Sandeep and I, we were just discussing back, brain is visual. You know, it becomes even harder when you're trying to throw words at it because it's difficult to process. Right? How many areas in my brain do I light up with my content? So that is what we start to function. That is what we start to look at in every process of ours. Okay, who's my audience? What is the makeup of the audience? Is it in the rural areas? Is it in the urban audience? Should I be looking at this? What's the exposure levels they may be having? And then accordingly work backwards to figure out the content. And then ultimately it needs to lead to the goal, what those companies were asking us to do that. Only then we become effective. That's the way we look at it, the long and short of it.
Should I?
Yes, please.
All my three panelists have spoken beautifully, and I think they have answered most of the question. I'm completely with them, but I'm slightly for me, what is content, basically? Why do you need the content? If I have to ask that question, it's very debatable. Ultimately, why do clients come to you? Clients come to you so that they have to build their sales, so the people, it can reach customers. That's the only reason why they come. That means they come for publicity, simple. And what does publicity needs? Publicity needs a communication strategy. The content is completely busted as word, sorry for the language, but yes, it's a swag, which people use it. Content, what is content? Content was a very basic in editorial stuff that you need to write an article, that's called content. But where is this content strategy started coming from? Where is this content things coming from? It's a communication strategy. You need to communicate. You need to understand the brand value. You need to understand the role of the brand. The moment you get the role of the brand, you suddenly understand the consumer insight. And on the consumer insight, you create a good communication. And good communication is ultimately what people are going to see. And people are going to react. A great strategy or great content strategy behind could be a great creative. If the great creative is not going to have a great strategy, it's all going to go in vain. So what is it all about? It's a vehicle. Digital is a vehicle where you can actually take a good communication in a different way. If I have to understand technicalities about how the digital way, how the Instagram, how the social media is going to work, or whatever technical language which happens in digital, is that going to not take my good communication to the consumers? What is the point of having that? So you need to crack a good communication strategy with a good communication, because nobody here, unfortunately, spoke about a good creative. Has anybody spoken about good creative? Nobody spoke about good creative. Now, what is a good creative? Good creative can create all the viral in the world. Viral is what communication is about. What platform do you work doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter, right? Now, if you go, and I'm sure that you guys must be knowing the brand called Budweiser, Budweiser beer. I'm sure you please go onto the net and check the Budweiser communication. It says, how do you think you write a communication strategy for that? It's an expression of the emotion. It says, what's up? Having a bird, watching a sport. It's a dog, guys. It's just saying, what's up? That became a craze. It went on the viral. There are women, old women crossing the road, standing in the middle of the road, stopping the car, saying, what's up? And people are laughing, yeah, I love you. What's up? What's up? Now that's what the Budweiser is all about. Now just think about it. Now what do you think the strategy will be? The question is to guys. A good communication can automatically build his own strategy. As simple as that. Work on a good communication. Life is beautiful. We created, in India, there is something on AHL, which we created. What do you say? Har ek friend zaruri nahi hota. Not everywhere the friend is required. And that's what the Airtel is. Now, if you really look at it, it was a good communication where you actually talk about friend. And it just went viral. It just went viral automatically on its own. Now, that is where the entire crux is. It's a challenge for both the sides. But the ultimate communication, ultimate success is all about whether it goes viral or not. Simple. We are here, unfortunately, from marketing pressure as well as from the client, as well as the only thing what we all run is sales figure. Sales cannot make the brand. Brand creates sales. Unfortunately, we think, hey, how many numbers, how much is selling, lead generation, this generation, that generation. What about the communication? Nobody even remember in this clutter. The clutter breaking is ultimately what you communicate. Communicate simple, communicate bang on. Work on that, spread more time on that. If you have that right, strategy will follow. That's my submission. Thank you.
Perfect. Right. Hello?
Yep, working.
Perfect. I think carrying forward from that, now we've heard that getting to know the audience, then building for the audience is what content strategy is all about. How do you actually measure this? Now, when I say how do you actually measure this, this may be a little going away from what Sandeep is saying, but when we are creating content strategy, we need to be able to identify whether this is really successful or not. And as marketers, what are the key metrics and what are these actual metrics that you need to be doing, that you need to be following? And does this A even matter? B, is this, are there ideal benchmarks that you should be crossing? If it does matter, what are these benchmarks? How much of this should actually factor into strategy? Because I know that something as a brand, there's very few metrics that you can actually, at least when you're at a startup stage, there's very few metrics that will actually quantify the brand building part of it, right? But if not the brand building part, the other things, right? So are you looking at your views and things like that? What are these matter? Are there benchmarks for them? And what should these benchmarks ideally be? Obviously, does it also differ? I know it differs from industry to industry, but even if you could talk about the generic ones, it should be good.
You want to take this or should I take this? Perfect. I'll take a step back, actually. Let's not look at, how you measure it, because there are plethora of ways to look at measuring. Tons and tons of ways. Okay, I'll be looking at readership or followership or the reach and all of that. And, nothing that matters if what Sandeep was mentioning, ultimately what's the ultimate goal, right? Where do we want to reach? Now, if I take a step back and start to look at, very simply, how am I going to create that content? Right? The basic components of that content. And that will help me figure out where my stress is and accordingly where do I need to measure, right? Josh Bernoff, the ex-communications director of Forrester, he came up with this thing which kind of we all know, but he articulated this for us. It's called ROAM, R-O-A-M. For every content, right from whether it is a short form, micro form, which is your Twitter post or Instagram creatives or whatever it is, to medium form, the blogs, to long forms, to visuals, to everything and anything, even maybe perhaps with the branding aspects to it, it kind of fits over there. It says, always ask 4 questions and then try and figure out with your creative or with your content, what are you going to eventually be, ideally you should be answering and getting effect on all of these 4, but at least, one of them will be more significant and hence you know what to measure. R is reader, right? Who's your audience? Why are they going to read you, right? Or why are they going to be seeing you, looking at you, right? O is objective. What do you want to say with that creative, right? What is it that should be going out? A is action. What do you want them to do, right? And M is actually part of impression. What is that thought they should have? What should they think about you? Now, if you figure out where your content is going to get in, right? Now, ideally, it should be covering all 4, right? But then one of them will be a little more. For example, if I'm going to do what Sandeep was mentioning, publicity, which means that I need to actually be focusing on 2 things. One is action. I would want them to buy my product or use my service or at least engage with me. And the second one is impression, which is about the core of branding, right? This is what I want them to think about me. This is what in startup was said, we are Uber of X, we are Uber of Y. Uber became, that, or Xerox, or whatever else it is, or Google, right? Now, that impression or action is something which I should be looking at, then accordingly I'll create the content, accordingly I'll start to measure them. While I'll be definitely measuring them across various different aspects of, the readership, followership, etc., blah, blah, blah. This is what I need to be looking at. And ultimately, for the business, for a CEO who's your client, and who's looking at these content and saying, okay, what is going to do for me? I should be, for him to eventually understand the impact, I should be giving him 3 metrics. Attraction, how much did I attract? Publicity aspect. Engagement, did I, whatever I was mentioning, am I engaging with them? Is the audience really, retaining with me in that sense? And then conversion. Ultimately, it needs to generate into some form of revenue or brand building or something. The people should know you or should buy you, right? Something should be happening. Otherwise, sales is not going to happen, and then you're working in isolation, you're doing good work, everybody is happy in this room, but it doesn't change the world, right? So that's how we should be looking at it. That's my take to measurement.
Exactly. This is what I was about to say. Exactly, I do agree. Except that you said that we only understand our customers' behavior and we act on it. We do that, but this is not the whole story. What we do is, I have something to impose as a brand. I want to tell them something. I wanna make it look and feel like they want to hear that. This is where it comes in the strategic point of view, is that to make your customers want to know what you want to tell them. This is exactly what it is, to create curiosity and to make them wait for you and hunt for you, instead of just you putting ads everywhere and they will just run away. And they are doing that. This is what is happening right now. And I think we have this problem where ads are everywhere, literally everywhere, and people, they just stop seeing everything. They don't see. They just skim, or they go to, for example, Spotify, where I want to hear my music in peace. It's something it's hassling for customers. We need to understand that customers are just are fed up with these pushed ads, bumper ads. Ads are everywhere, literally. So I think what we're having here, we need to find that proper solution in content where we should enjoy ads like we did before. Me growing up, I used to only eat, sleep, watching ads. This is what I did. This is how my mom shuts me down. Now, I can't even tolerate whatever I see. So I think this is the hassle here, and I would love to have this open conversation even with everyone here, and find out a way where how are we going to tackle this. This is very challenging. This is what's happening basically. This is the main challenge. Building a content strategy. For me as a brand, I want to have a tone of voice. I want them to understand me, to bond with me as a brand. And on the other hand, I have some KPIs. I do want followers, I do want reach, I do want sales. So merging it together without bothering our end consumer, our customer, this is where the challenge is, I believe. So we are all consumers at the end of the day, and we are very demanding. This is what's happening. I don't know. What do you want to say about it?
So, when the question was, how do you measure the success of content and content strategy, basically? And I think the last two panelists, who just spoke, were talking about the qualitative side of it, right? Of course, there are two sides of it. One is quantitative and one is qualitative. So this was, I believe, this is more of the qualitative side of it. But talking about the quantitative side, which is what the brands and the clients want. Like, and actually, they really don't, sorry, excuse me if I say this, but they really don't care what my consumers feel. This is what we have to think. It's not their duty to think what they feel or what they don't feel, right? It's our duty to feel. But now talking about the how do we measure success is very straightforward data. It's very straightforward data in terms of quantitative. It is very important when you go out there, create a plan, create a content strategy. You know what your MOS is. How do you measure your success, right? For example, I was talking to Iram. She had like, so she has like OKRs. I don't want to get into the OKR concept, but she said that, Gautam, you know what? So we have meetings every 3 months, and we decide there's a short-term goal and there's a long-term goal, okay? So in the short-term goal, we want to understand where, as an entire organization, where do we want to be, right? In that short-term goal, one of the goals were, she wants to touch 10,000 followers, right? Because it's a brand. So Iram runs a brand, not an agency. So for Iram, it was, I want to gain 10,000 followers on my Instagram. Now, the question comes why? Where his qualitative part comes in. Like, we have to know why we are setting that goal, but we have to set that goal so that we work towards it. Why is the reason where we decide what that goal number should be, and then what that number is what we strive for. Now talking about the tools, like, you know, there are immense number of tools. There's Bitly, which only gives you clicks. It does not give you more insights, right? There is SimilarWeb, which is now very deep, right? SimilarWeb.com, right? Is very deep. If you take the pro subscription, it can give you insights like, you know, for each person, what is the demographic? For each person, what is the age group? What is the geolocation and all those things? Why this is important? This is important for your next decision. This is important for when you make these data points are the key to success for the current project, but they are the key catalyst for your next project. Because if you don't understand your current project, then you'll not be able to create a better project for your next one. For example, so we work with the Bollywood, right? So when we work with the Bollywood, we use a lot of data links. So for us, a Bollywood celebrity for me is an influencer, right? So if I ask a celebrity to post on Instagram through a swipe up story, right? I give him a link, right? And that link is controlled by me. So as a marketer, whatever you give out, make sure that link or whatever Unilink, Bitly link, Unilink is something that we have built ourselves, but you have Bitly link, you have OneLink, you have a lot of other linking softwares out there. You can use it to actually capture data, and then when you use it for your Facebook promotions, Instagram promotions, or any other Google ads, you can create lookalikes of the target market that you already want. And that is a tested data that you already get in the market. You generally don't get that because unless you do that, for example, if I do a film today, what the data I get, if I do that, if the same actor is doing a film next year, I know my audience for this particular actor is going to be the same. Or probably it's 10% minus, right? Or probably 20% up. But I still have a very good lookalike audience, which I'm going to use it for the next phase. Right now, a very big problem that our marketers use is that we rely so much on Excel. So much on Excel where the maximum data that we point to use is equal to sum, upar se niche, and then we're done, right? It is actually not. Like, Excel is good to maintain. It is good to just have a look at it. But it is not good to, going forward and like actually measuring results. For that, there are tools like Unilink, OneLink and Bitly and similar web kind of things. Apps Flyer, you have Branch. It depends on what brand you're selling. If it's a application thing, it's more of an Apps Flyer thing, right? If you want to go an overall deep linking thing, then it's more of Branch. So there are a lot of unique tools out there. Just don't rely on Excel is what my end note will be.
Perfect. I think, thank you so much, guys, for answering that. And I think maybe continuing from that, and this is something I personally always want to know as well, right? Do we, as marketers today, when building content strategy, have our own stack? Now, developers have their own stack of tools that they're using and all of that, right? And how are you using these? I think maybe just a further addition to that.
I think it's a similar question. Like it's a roundup question.
Same.
So to just wrap this up, it is like we have built our internal tool. Everybody may not need that, right? The need is not there. For us, we have an internal tool called Unilink, right? So that linking is we work on links because that links gets us customers, that links gets us data. That links gets us a lot of things that helps us in decision. So I think everybody has different. Somebody has Google Analytics. And Google Analytics is one of the beautiful tool that has ever been made for a marketer, right?
Yeah, it has quite understated.
Yes, when we start using that, you'll see that you're not spending even a single penny, but you're still getting a lot of statistics in front of you, and that's beautiful. Real-time statistics. Like if I go to that, I can see how many people are there on my website, and if I want to block one of them, I can do it. Right?
So are you using data? I mean, for example, when you're creating content strategy, SEO how big a role does that play? And are you looking for your keywords from, or are you using platforms to look at keywords? Is this even factoring into our content strategy on a whole? And, So I know that data is definitely being collected, right? We're collecting data, analyzing our data, and then according to that, building our content strategies. How about the other supporting systems, such as your SEOs, your website buildings, and all of that? And how strongly are these being factored into content strategy today? So I'm not just talking about our creatives and posts, right? We also have to be able to build something that leads towards higher engagement post by post.
No. In fact, if you start to look at it, the basic essence of digital marketing is on data. There's nothing changing phenomenally. With digital, what has happened is two things happened. One is your vehicles have improved. The limitation, the physical limitations have kind of taken care of. The reach has gone phenomenally. I mean, geographies or rather boundaries have been broken. That's what digital does. And the other thing what it does is bring it measurability. Now you're able to measure almost everything and anything out there and figure out why you want to measure something and what it's going to do and how do you actually proceed further. For example, for one of our clients, and we were trying to figure out the digital strategy of their competition because they're just about to start and they wanted to actually enter into the market, which is well entrenched in the urban male grooming segment. And it started as an online, now it is online and offline, right? And how people are reacting to it, etc. Now, while offline becomes a little difficult to kind of measure and to keep track of it, so there are reports, there are ways to do it. We can actually figure out, but digital, it comes like a piece of cake. And as what Gautam was mentioning, Google Analytics is absolutely, the Google suite of products is absolutely the base, the foundation. From there you build on. Whether you look at SimilarWeb, you look at Moz or SEMrush, etc. They're all actually dipping into analytics and taking the data out from Google, right? That's what we are actually getting. But anyway, so we were working with this company, and they wanted to figure out what people are doing, and we looked at the absolute leader, which was out there, and then the next best challenger, right? The leader has been there, for the last 5-6 years. They started as online. They obviously had a huge success, and they went into the offline mode. And in India, this is particular to India market. And their strategy was very simple. They did not rely on content from the conventional forms of what we think as thought leadership, blogs, all of that. They looked at content absolutely on branding. They're like, okay, I'm going to project this image, I'm going to look at this way, their ads, their creatives, everything, whatever content they were actually putting out, whether it was a copy, whether it was, an excuse of a blog, which was out there on the website. These are all alluding to one aspect which Axe, the perfume, has championed, the alpha male kind of a, scenario. They were all doing that, and it has been working well. The challenger comes in, how do I break that, mold, right? If I'm going to follow the same path, that delta will continue as static. Just as whatever I'm doing, the other party is anyway doing that. How do I break through? So I will take another route, right? And they take the content route. Right? Phenomenally. They come up with, just as what Alok was mentioning yesterday of Lodha having a magazine now out there, right? They also took that route. They are all going into that lifestyle approach. So they were more gentlemanly approach, lifestyle. This is more on the little upper echelon, a different way. Not by pricing, but a differentiation they were trying to create, because most of the entrenched, the leader, the audience was fairly in their young, they were young 20s, right? So they were trying to go a little beyond that. All of this was coming to us via tools like SimilarWeb, Google, etc. Now, not Google, because obviously they will not give that information, but SimilarWeb was able to take out that information. Now, while we were doing that, and we realized that apart from others, because of content, the challenger has been able to do this or do that. That's what we actually were able to go back and tell the client. The other thing which was very interesting was just by a simple metric on Google, or which was displayed on the tools, is the exit. Using that, they were able to figure out, or rather we were able to figure out, who's the target. A kind of a look-like what you were mentioning, but more in a surreal, more in a elaborate psychography manner, where we were able to figure out, okay, what kind of content will work for them. For example, people landing up on the leader's website and the very next tab they opened, based on that metric, we were able to see that, okay, what kind of keyword cloud we were able to figure out. And the leader was more in the the kind of keywords which were fairly transactional, fairly tactical, the kind of keywords which will attribute to the younglings, attribute to the college goers, attribute to the entry-level professionals. May not be having as much of disposable income, but have an external control of locus. Would like to look good for others to look at us, etc., etc., etc. So you were able to figure out what is the content they might be using, compared to the challenger who's trying to get into the next phase. And over there, we saw a lot of their audience were landing up into sites which are pertaining to finance, personal finance, investments, family, parenting. So over there, we could realize, okay, most of these guys are young fathers, right? They are the ones who are starting the family. So the locus is changing now. Right? The kind of keywords are changing now. The words are changing. The third best was actually very different, and we were talking yesterday, right? The third best actually had 15% of their traffic getting onto GitHub. Now, most of the startups, if you would have understand the importance of GitHub, most of the techies, the software guys, land up over there to keep their whatever codes, etc. over there and process it. 15% was landing up on GitHub. 18% was landing up on Pornhub. Which means that we realize is that most of the loners, most of the guys who are actually on a lookout to, maybe get a girlfriend or whatever it is, or whichever the preference is, the entire aspect of looking at content starts to change, what the brand needs to be doing. Now that all goes with what Alok said yesterday, what is true with the brand, right? It's not just what the audience wants. So you have to marry the two, the intersection. And that's what it is. SEO is just a method to means. It's not the core. If you build up your entire aspect of how you should be going after, SEO then starts to follow into that.
Perfect. I mean, so that's a good thing, right? So we're seeing that it's not just what you want to be telling, it's not just the communication, but content strategy has a lot to do with studying your competition, being able to identify what are the searches that are already going on, and then to kind of build around that. And then obviously
who you want to go after, that's
who you want to go after. So there's a lot more clarity that needs to be coming in, before you build the entire strategy on its own. I think that's amazing. Thank you.
So considering you have little time, can we do an open round of discussion?
No, okay, all right.
We have time?
So we have, just one quick last question, I suppose. Now, obviously, we know that content strategy is generally considered, at least today, as an ammunition for startups, right? How do the big guys? I know the session yesterday was exactly the opposite, but how do the big guys kind of change their approach? Is that something that we need to be talking about? Do the bigger companies need to change their approach to content? Because we see that most of them are not very nimble, at least not the way startups are, to creating more crazy content, to being able to adapt to newer methods of content. And it's just not just the most latest content, right? We're not talking about the long form of content. We're talking about startups having adopted TikTok as a medium, which, you know, a person like me would have totally brushed TikTok off my charts. I still don't use it. But do you think that this is something that the big guys need to look into, or do you think the way they're going is something that's going to last forever and long?
I have a small take on it. I'm going to take a quick 30 seconds, not more than that. The fact is that the digital as a platform is such a fantastic platform for communication. But do you really communicate? Answer that question to yourself. Which is what very important is this, you know. She said that what the big companies do that. You know what the big companies I've been very closely associated with that. They want an idea. There is a digital platform which is willing to take an idea to whatever level you want and whatever money and the cost you want to incur in. Create an idea, platform of digital is fabulous to reach to the customer, and you will get the results for sure. But if you don't have an idea, all the platform, all your Google content, all your whatever ups and downs of whatever softwares you're creating, numbers you're going to creating, is not going to work. It's as simple as that. So I rest. I think we have only 25 seconds left. So that's good enough.
Unless the others want to add a quick 2 cents.
To wrap this up, I think for the big brands, they're always open to ideas, but it is us who has to go to them and tell them, like, you know what, this is what it works. For example, Domino's, like, they've never imagined TikTok. Now from next week, you'll see them on TikTok, right? Because a millennial, like in a big chunk of a big company which is running, they want to understand how this works. Unless you go out there, tell them, hey, you know what, you're doing the right thing, but it can be better. And that is through this solution. And I think they'll buy it.
No, it boils on the same thing, you know, what we have been discussing for the last, 40, 45 minutes. Ultimately, who's your audience? What do you want them to do, right? And where are you going to find them? You find that, and most of the companies are taking that route in that sense.
Thank you so much, guys. Unfortunately, we've run out of time and we don't have time for any Q&As from the audience at this point because we are hopelessly late for lunch. And we've still got another keynote before we get to lunch, so your tummies will just have to wait a little bit longer. So could we just have a round of applause for our panelists? That would be great. Thank you so much.